Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Saturday Overnight Live, our weekly sort of semi-topical discussion on all things pop culture. Sorry for the lateness. I just got done watching WrestleDream. Tony Khan, I love you, man, and I love your company. 5.5 hour pay-per-view if you include the buy-in. That's just a lot. That's a lot. That's exhausting. And all the matches were decent enough to where you really couldn't just, go around. I had my Bluetooth speaker on so I could go back and forth because I was dealing with customers and stuff. And then I had it thrown up on whatever screen. I have several screens throughout the store so that wherever I'm at, I can watch it while I'm working or I'm dealing with customers, even if I have to mute. But man, this thing started at 4. The countdown buy-in started at 4. It just wrapped up. No shit. 5 minutes ago. In a match that really, as much as I love Darby Allin and Jon Moxley, should not have been the main event, but I know why they had to do it that way, because they fucked up the ring. So, yeah, these death matches, I quit, no disqualification. I know, I'm all ECW'd out, guys, when it comes to those matches. I'm not a gimmick match type of guy, especially as many as these two have done with each other. There's nothing else you can show me. Other than kill each other, which I don't want to see, there's really nothing you can show me in these matches. They had broken glass, real broken glass out there. One of them, they had a drowning thing. It was just ridiculous. So, chat, let me know if you can hear me and see me clearly. If not, I will have to make some changes midstream. But, for those of you who watch this show on a regular basis, when I am at the center, I am using Fidel Castro JFK era infrastructure, so it is what it is. Thank you to those of you who are watching us live, and the majority of you who will watch us after the fact. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the alert bell, so even if it's late, you still get alerted at some point. This week's show is every show, as long as I'm on the air, and there is a Trauma, is brought to you by Trauma Now. Head over to trauma-now.com. The first month is free. After that's $4.99. We have reviewed this site. There's a lot on it, and it's not just Trauma. Trauma is a distributor for a lot of independent films. So if you support small independent filmmaking, head over to Trauma Now and support Trauma, the world's oldest independent movie studio. Okay, so the topics tonight are in the thumbnail. We are going to say goodbye to ACE Frehley. Going to do a quick review of his career, both his singles and his career as the KISS founder. One of the things I'm going to do once I get Brad here is I am going to go remote with a different camera. And since I do a lot of stuff with movie posters, we're not just going to talk about what movie posters mean. I literally have movie posters here that are set up around the store that I'm of all different genres that I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys. And it's two you can't do it at this range with the camera where it is. So I'm going to set the camera up once he gets there, if he gets there, to the point where you can see the entirety of the posters and stuff. Yeah, because movie posters are important. I mean, we had a passing of one of the greater artists that anchored the movie poster industry for about 30, 40 years. And that just reminded me just how important they are. In this digital age, we kind of forget that some of the old things just do it. With TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, all these things to put the word out, and even movie trailers themselves, nothing does it quite like when you see that movie poster months before a movie's release. That's what gets you going. A lot of your plans that are made for the next movie that you're going to see are at the movie that you're currently seeing, because they put those posters up months in advance sometimes, and there you are. And that plants that seed in your head, and then you can basically build it on there. And they're great marketing tools to this day. Even with all the technology, to this day, one of the most powerful tools a studio can use, no matter what size they are movie posters, the movie promotion. So we're going to go into that. But like I said, we'll go on a small tour around the store once I get a co-host here, if I get a co-host here. Okay, got the car show going on side. Let me go ahead and open the door again now that the parade is over there. Oh, okie dokie. We're going to take a look at the brand new Punisher #1 and Punisher #2. I didn't get a chance to take a look at this when it first came out. It even has a red band one where you have to, letting you know that there's violence inside. And satisfyingly, there is violence inside. There's dismemberment. There are all 3Ds in this new Punisher. Some things I'm kind of skeptical about. We'll go into that when we go into detail. It has some attachment to the current things that are going on with Daredevil, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But it is the rehabilitation of Frank Castle is what's happening here. So whatever I need to do, we'll go over that. Let me say hi to and then like I said, in a minute we'll go over WrestleDream. Probably do that real quick before Brad gets here, because to get my wrestling stuff out of the way. Clone Avenger, thank you for the support. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I was talking to the owner of my local comic shop, comic book store. He said that DC's absolute graphic novels are selling out. He said he's never had comics sell so quick. He also said there are a lot of younger readers. Yes, there are. I just sold, as a matter of fact, I got to bag it up. I just sold 2 of them. I live close to this customer, so I'm going to be taking it. Just sold this right here, Absolute Batman hardcover to the zoo, and I sold the soft cover the other day. And when I just got back in, I sold several of these. This is the Wonder Woman one, the Last Amazonian. So this one is good. The Superman one I ordered, I haven't got back in. Yes, they are doing very well. They are doing very well. And to my surprise, yes, the average age that I've been selling these to has been 17 to 21-ish, as far as that demographic goes. We just went, I had a tourist come in, and the first words out of his mouth were Absolute Batman. And with glee and joy, I took him over to that section I showed you guys, and we loaded him up. And he was about 19 or 20. So it's good. That means the bridge that we have to cross to get people back into Batman, because once I get you into an absolute character, I can get you into Batman. He bought the normal rebooted Batman as well. But right now, what Absolute is doing is it's allowing people permission to get back into some characters that they may not have been associated with prior, or they were turned off with a particular storyline. I get a lot of that with Wonder Woman. Sorry, Tom King. You've done great. You've done enough great stuff to where this ain't gonna. But the Wonder Woman stuff is really what has turned people off in certain instances, especially our favorite Tom King disciple, Jared, when he's on here. You know how he feels. So yeah, younger readers are. I still have enough older readers and older veteran collectors that are that are picking it up, but I am amazed about how many younger viewers are picking up as well, and I'm happy to see that. Do I think the Absolute line is the best thing to happen in comics in a long time? Yeah. I don't want to I don't want to be to over exaggerate the effect that the Absolute DC has had, but I can't deny the numbers. I can't deny what my walkthrough is buying. I can't deny how it's invigorated interest in talking to characters that were not being that weren't having that level of conversation. A lot of these books with DC is going to just keep going through the motions, reboot here, new artist here, new writer here, and it just seemed like they were a lot of these books were just out in the ocean, on a canoe with no paddle. That's what it was. And what DC has done with not just Absolute DC, but DC All In, and now DC KO, is they put a thread through everything. Everything that's going on matters now. You don't have to read everything, but it matters. If you're reading DCKO, it behooves you to read. You're going to get a better experience if you're reading Absolute DC, and if you've been reading Superman lately, Action Comics, and some of the stuff that's been going on with the Time Trapper, and been going on with Booster Gold, who a character that I loathe, but he's very, very important in this storyline. Superboy Prime, who I never thought I would see again in a relevant story, after an Infinite Crisis, he's very relevant. Legion of Superheroes, some of my favorite superheroes growing up, are all relevant to what's going on here. And to me, out of all the things that they've done with Darkseid, this is a definitive thing that they've done with him. This is the most important thing that they've ever done with Darkseid. So, and it's getting the conversation. And what it does is it just gives you these jumping on points. Anybody that can read and is interested in comics, I can bring them into this. I can bring anyone into this. Some of the stuff that's on the shelf now, it's convoluted. It's convoluted. It has a lot of dead spots. Absolute DC and DC All In does not have those dead spots. Everywhere you go, there's a relevant piece of story that you can latch onto. So to answer your question, is it the best thing that to ever happen in comics? I would say at least the last 25 or 30 years. Because there have been bigger events, but I don't think they've had as much positive effect on the overall company as Absolute and All In has done. Yeah, you had Rebirth. Ooh. Yeah, you had Flashpoint. Yeah, you had New 52. And to me, those are just steroids that, got you going, got you through the game, but had long-term damage on the continuity of the franchise. This is not the case with Absolute stuff. Not only is it not really damaging the continuity, yeah, you have reboots and realignments happening, but they're all basically lining up with everything else. The way they've redone Batman hasn't alienated, Batman people who've been collecting 5 or 6 years. And same thing with some of the other things they're doing. They're when they've given you the history of DC. That comic is out right now. All it's doing is a light retelling of it, so that it lines up with some of the other things. And if you do it that way, you don't have to destroy everything that you had going. So yeah, I right now, if I'm going to be a prisoner of the moment, I'm going to go say yeah, Clone Avenger. Last thing, I've watched Blade Runner 2049. I hope it changed your life like it did mine a while back. Should I freshen up on them? Blade Runner 2025. You do not have to, but if you do, there are a lot of aspects of Black Lotus that you will recognize. They've done an excellent job of taking buildings, scenery, and people that were in both Blade Runner 2049 and the original and making them relevant. If if you're closer to those two movies, you are going to see a lot of those movies all over, including certain characters that are in there, that are in both, and that are in the latter episode. So I would say yes. How you doing, Ozzy? What's going on? Clint and his duck. Manzano, what's going on? Both Aussies are here. Now John P. Yeah. Listen, man. If there's one criticism other than like 9-hour pay-per-views that I have when it comes to AEW, these gimmick matches, and they're dangerous, by the way. I called this before the damn day even came. There could be any day of the week where I could be right about this. Darby Allin's going to set somebody on fire. I could go to the ticket window and bet, go to the casino and bet money. Darby Allin's going to set somebody on fire during this pay-per-view because I'm probably going to be right. Lo and behold, he attempted to set Jon Moxley on fire again for a second time. So yeah, it just, I grew up with this stuff and I got all of this stuff out of my system with Terry Funk and ECW and the Sabu. And if you look at the kind of matches that these guys did, Darby Allin's a young man. It's almost like he's trying to just stay that way and not get old. So yeah, it's not comfortable to watch sometimes. Yeah, pay-per-view is insane. Yeah, like I said, we're gonna go. I thought it was a solid pay-per-view. I don't like the way it ended, not because it was a bad match, but I think that match, dude, fucking take a break. If you need to clean up the ring after all that shit, take a break. That should not have been the last match because there were better matches on that card. All right, yeah. So New Zealander. So I got Aussies as a New Zealander in there. All right, cool. All over the world. Let's see. Okay, basis for Lincoln Park. Yeah, my thumbnails are pretty much already set. He died at 48, and we still don't know what he passed away. Fuck, man. Yeah, Sam Rivers. And when they said, I thought it was because the way that they did the headline, it wasn't really genuine. It's very good. It was, like I said, great pay-per-view. I moved that last match. Some of these matches, and we'll go over it I'm gonna really quickly run up and down. Don't need to be on this pay-per-view. At some point, somebody's got to sit down and make a decision and cut at least 2 of those matches have got to go. Because the matches are pretty lengthy. There was a really good tag team match. Brodito, which might have been the best match of the night for me, going up against Okada and Tashevka, and they're building that storyline. That match was long, but it was good. But you needed to cut some of the other shit off of that match. Actor Ed Williams is sadly passed away at the age of 96. That just put up 77. A 77 to leave, younger, but he had 96, man. Shit, I can only hope to make it to 96. But rest in peace, both of those. I finally get to catch a stream. Yeah, no, we're at hours. I saw you on we were on Film Junkie together, weren't we? Yeah. You're just not getting Absolute Wonder Woman? You're gonna love it. There are no bad issues. There are no. I'm serious. That's the one thing about the Absolute Universe is if you go a year of a comic, you're gonna have some issues in there, or an issue, or at least a half issue that's like, okay, maybe next month. Not yet. The only exception I can say is, oops, I almost dropped him. Martian Manhunter and The Flash and Green Lantern, not because they're bad, because the stories are way more complex than the Trinity ones, which are a lot easier to get into. All right, I kept him waiting long enough. Hello, Brad. Oh, what I was saying, sorry.
There was William DM'd me like a dead of night last night. Said sorry. I'm like, for what?
Because we were talking about your troublemaking articles on because articles and stuff came up.
And, you're talking about
we didn't trash you or anything, but I'm like, we bringing them up, but it came about because of that fucking
Zack Snyder's Superman image that set the internet on fire.
Yeah, and it shouldn't have. That's an indictment on us. And that's what we were talking about. If Zack Snyder posting a picture does that to your day on any end of this, that's not an indictment on Zack Snyder, whether he was trying to stir the pot or not. Our responses as grown-ass people.
I mean, let's be intellectually honest. He was.
Even if he was, our responses to it are up to us. And once again, my fellow geeks, you embarrassed me. You embarrassed us. You embarrassed geekdom. Your responses to this were embarrassing.
Well, I'm gonna give my kind of 2 cents on this. I mean, I was kind of wondering if it was going to be a topic tonight. I guess kind of by default it is.
That's it. That's it.
Well, like my kind
your
of
response, and then we'll move on.
Well, because I have a few different thoughts on it. Like one of them is, I mean, again, and I've said this to, a few people just kind of going back and forth on it today. I mean, it's like, we can call a spade on this. I think it's like, yeah, he knew the reaction. Zach knew what he was doing, just like with the pitcher with Gunn. He knew what he was doing. I mean, let's not beat around the bush on that. He knew what he was doing. He was stirring the pot, and that's not anything nefarious. It's just that it's just calling a spade a spade. To what end? I don't know. It's he's but he definitely. I think it's very well established. He has a history of just okay. I'm just gonna drop an image on my social media and just let whatever, just let people just dive all over that. I mean, that's very well established on his end. So it's like, yeah, of course he knew what he was doing. Let's not tap dance around that.
We don't need to, but once again, let's call a spade about how people reacted.
Well, and see, the big thing I really take away from it, and this is in fact, I'll pull up one thing I shared on it just today, because this is the thing fighting over a pitcher. Well, this is like the turkey one. Remember when he did that with Final Cry?
Yeah, and remember I said at the time, we weren't together at the time, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I saw people that I just don't ever want to be a part of again. How they handled that. There were people blocking each other over that. There were people unfriending each other over that. See, what Zach does is one thing. It's how we respond that is just fucking shameful.
Well, I mean, whatever takeaway you have on it, I mean, always be civil on it. I mean, that should go without saying. It's like, I mean, there's no reason.
We shouldn't have to say this.
Which that's like, and that's the thing too, is like everything William talks about, like, the reactions. He's not talking about like whether or not you think this is him, throwing a little bit of fuel on the fire, or whether or not he and Gunn have had talks about anything. It's that thinking that in and of itself is is not anything, is not anything negative. It's just to what would you let it get out of hand and like start, and when it becomes like people being at each other's throats about who's got their finger on the pulse on this. That's when it really gets out of hand. But
yeah, and then just saying some of the most inane things.
Well, see, and this is one of the things I said about it today. And I got a little bit of reaction on this. Is like, and this is mainly directed at like the kind of the Gun fan side of this. But I said, like, man, you really think a behind the scenes image from a dead universe would be way easier for people to just shrug off. And that's the thing about all of this. I've never been able to understand this angle of it. And next time I'm on the Vaca stream, if I get back on there someday, because again, my Saturdays just got to be up a lot earlier than I did 6 months ago. But one of the big questions I have in all this is like, okay, if there's zero, like if there is zero possibility of us getting like this, what we're chasing after with the Snyder cut, the Snyderverse, and all that, like if like if it's such an impossibility, if it's like God himself could not restore the Snyderverse, why is there such a pushback on anybody going for that?
Because it was never about that. It's never about whether it's going to get restored or not. These people have made this battle part of their identity. They cannot move on without it. It has nothing to do with whether we see one more minute of Zack Snyder's anything. They have consumed themselves with it, and either end of this has made it to the point where they can't live without this. It has nothing to do with the production of a movie or whether we never get it or not. It has to do with the conflict. They've embedded this conflict into their psyche because there's nothing else there. And when you've done that, you need to get help. You need to pick up a hobby or something or get distracted by something else. It has nothing to do with whether they believe the Snyderverse will ever happen again or nothing like that. It's the conflict. If it wasn't this, they'll find something else because there is a hole there where something else should be, and they need to fill it with something that makes sense. But right now, this is it. This whole struggle, this whole back and forth is fucking ignorant. It is embarrassing. There's a lot of things as a geek that could embarrass you. Wearing a fucking bolt on a red shirt around in public should embarrass you. Doing all kind of watching wrestling, there's a whole bunch of things that you could laugh at a geek for. This is not just laughing at. The behavior and the interaction to even make this a part of, to give this 2 minutes of your day is embarrassing. And it's like, there are a lot of things that I would disassociate myself with geeks over. Most of them don't have anything to do with the actual content. This is stuff that when I see this, I'm like, this is a clarion call for something else. You need to go somewhere and you need to fill that hole, because the reaction to this should have been, oh, that's cute, and scroll up to something else. That's the that's the common reaction to this.
Well, like one thing a lot of people like were critical of it, kind of zeroed in on, was the phrasing like Henry is Superman, which I mean, I don't think that was intended as like a slight on a Corn Sweater Gun. It's
no,
not
it's
exactly. Yeah, I think William froze there.
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I can hear you now. You got a little bit choppy there a minute ago.
Yeah, I might have to switch. Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead and finish your point, and then I'll be back.
Okay. But yeah, that's one thing. And again, my two big things from this is that, yes, it's very transparent that Zach was having fun with this. It's like he knows what he's doing when he puts out these little, snippets of his DC movies. He's definitely aware that people are still pursuing the resolution of his arc. I mean, it's naive at best to suggest otherwise. He knew what he was doing with the gun picture. He knew what he was doing with this picture. He knew it was going to get a big explosive reaction. He knows people are going to dissect it and interpret it in a myriad of different ways, both, in the direction of either he's never coming back or he is coming back or anything in between. So that's where I say, yeah, we call a spade on that. And then the other angle of it is, it's, again, if you think the possibility of that happening is just so minute as to be non-existent, it's like, why do you feel so threatened by this? So those are my big takeaways on this. But yeah, those are my 2 cents on it.
Well, to me, I don't even get that far into the yard. To me, I don't fucking care why you're still bothered by it. It's not going to change anything. I don't care. I mean, if you look, I didn't respond to any of that shit. I scrolled past it, and then I kept seeing it. And I'm like, well, am I going to have to meet Superman again? I don't think I should have to meet that, but it was embarrassing.
And by the way, you guys talking about my article? I assume you're talking about like this one I shared.
No, he was talking about in general.
Okay, because I reshared I reshared the one I wrote a comic book about, like it was after the Gunn and Snyder picture. It's titled "The Snyderverse Will Never Die." James Gunn just ensured that, which it's not like a 1-to-1 with this, but it's reshared because I can fit the occasion.
If I want a circus, I can go to a circus. I live in Vegas. I don't get any entertainment of watching people make fucking fools out of themselves. That's not entertainment. I mean, this isn't the Gladiator. We're not sitting up in the rafters watching two people duke it out. That's not entertainment to me. That's just I don't. And when I see those memes of people with the popcorn, I'm like, you fucking sad soul. That's what gives you enjoyment, is just watching people go at it. You got MMA.
You know
boxing.
There was one I thought about when he shared that. The next time he does this, I may share this GIF. It's from The Dark Knight Returns of the cop going, "Oh, you're in for a show tonight, son." And I don't when I say that, I don't mean like the conflict around it. I'm talking about like when Zach does this, I mean, inevitably, it gets attention, and that's the angle of it where it's. Ideally, it's like this would be a fun thing where it's like if he drop something like this that people can clearly see is intended to stir the pot or throw some fuel on the fire. It's like it should be fun to break this down, like, oh, like what is this? Is like the back during the Vero days of it's like, oh, well, like what's he doing now, like what does this mean? It should be like a fun thing to dive in and dissect.
It's not gonna be. If a house, the house in the neighborhood is just it's a trap house. It's a crack house. You ain't going there for dinner, right? So this house is where it's going to lead. There's going to be no surprise. They're never going to let you down with the embarrassment. Corn Sweat term really is also into good. Yeah, it just got all levels of ignorance. It's like these are the people that we share a genre with, which is quite sad.
Again, the phrasing of like Henry Cavill is Superman. It's like that's where I say
I didn't read anything into that. And if you read something into that, you got problems.
I mean,
I read it as that man directed that man as Superman, and I scrolled up.
Well, it's not even specific to. It's like he's because obviously Zach is going to be biased to the Superman that he cast.
It's like James Gunn will be when he posts Corn Sweat, which is fine. Scroll up.
But it's it's I mean, I saw other people like trying to you tamp down the fire on that kind of side of it a little bit, where they said it's like, yeah, Henry Cavill is Superman, just like David Cornsweet is Superman.
If you had to explain it to somebody,
just like Tyler Hoechlin is Superman, just like Christopher Reeve,
if you had to explain that to somebody, scroll up. We got to start surrounding ourselves with smarter people. Maybe that's it. If you had to fucking explain that to somebody, use your mouse, that whatever mechanism that allows you to move past that, fucking scroll up. You should not have to explain that, because you know where that road's going to lead. If they can't figure that out on themselves, they didn't want to. Scroll up. Modern technology has provided you with a way to stay on all this shit, and you guys keep diving into it.
And by the way, like one last thing I'll say on this, because again, as I said, it's like I think it is absolutely, it's unequivocal. He knew what he was doing. He was teasing. He was stirring the pot. And we're coming up pretty soon here on November 17th. Oh,
and why are you here?
My Twitter stalker's back. Hello, Donovan. But we got November 17th coming up pretty soon, and we got in March the 5-year anniversary of Zack Snyder's Justice League and the 10-year anniversary of Batman v Superman. All I'm saying is, like, if you think he's not going to do something along these lines on
Donovan, I'm just going to skip your comment, because to read your comments would be counter to what I just said. You're here for this circus, and I'm scrolling past you. Come up with something else that you can add to the show. We're about to end this topic right now, because it should have never been a topic. Yeah. It's embarrassing that fans made this a topic. Well, my fellow geeks have embarrassed me.
See, you know what
That's hard to do.
And by the way, happy, preemptive birthday to Ladia. Your birthday's actually November 17th, so that'll be. And see, this is what I would, this is what would make. Hold on, there we go. This is what would what would really. I was thinking about this more today. In the aftermath of Zach dropping this would be the. And that you even kind of alluded to this when you
get us the source. You do not use delusional on my show unless you know what the word means. I don't mind you using big words, but obviously if you're using them in this context, you don't know what they mean.
Donovan, do you want to come on and talk about this?
You don't take the lead.
I mean,
no. I don't want to talk about this after this. After you finish your point, we're done. It should have never been a topic. The fact that it was a topic, you guys ought to be fucking ashamed of yourself. Either side of it.
Well, but anyway,
over a fucking picture.
But you kind of alluded to this back at Comic-Con, because you mentioned, like, oh, if you got the chance to, like, talk to James Gunn and say, hey, I'm doing this and enjoying this and this, what you're doing with your franchise, but I got left holding the bag with mine. Is there any chance of, like, or any consideration about revisiting that and putting the bow on that? And that's what I would really be interested to see, like, what the response is, like, if Gunn, like, not even just from you, but just from anybody, just if somebody in the media asked him that question, if he said something along the lines of, like, hey, anything's possible, never say never, all things are on the table then, because that's not like a committal statement to.
I wouldn't even answer the question if I were him.
But if he did say something like that, again, it's not committing to, we're doing it next week, but it's like anything's possible. Never say never in this business. Well, what's it going to turn into then?
Give is no comment. Best answer he could give is no. The most productive answer he could give is no comment at this time. Something changes, I'll look at. But the best thing he could do is not answer that question. It is not relevant to what he is currently doing right now. Maybe it will be, and then he can make an announcement. But right now, it's not. There's no productive value in answering that question.
Aaron says, yeah, exactly. I saw Perp actually post about this a little bit ago too. Yeah, it's like,
that's all it was, guys. That's you scroll. You should have scrolled that, and that should not have stopped your day. Other than, wow, that's a really cool picture of Henry Cavill. If it did anything beyond that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. And if you were calling people names over it and accusing and coming up with conspiracy theories, well, this is what he meant to do. He was a man in the grass. Get the fuck out of here. All right. Stop. I mean, stop.
And again, Donner would likely phrase it similarly of, like, Christopher Reeve is Superman, because of course the individual filmmaker is going to be biased towards the Superman he cast, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's to be expected, because he cast the guy.
All right, guys, we are at 36 minutes into the show. There probably wasn't a real reason, other than I was joking with Brad about the articles and stuff, there was never any real reason. That's why it wasn't in the thumbnail. That's why you haven't seen Cavill's picture. It was so irrelevant. But leave it to the masses to make every single thing a fucking disaster. Which is, you guys didn't fail me. You guys did not fail me. All right, Rational Skeptic, $5. Thank you for the support from Clone Avenger. New York Post said yesterday that Comcast will also make it. I can't say it was
well, we know how it feels about Comcast bidding for it.
Reuters, I almost said Reuters. Reuters reports WB cost $60 billion. Who do you think would make a better owner? Well, this is like asking me what Santa Claus is going to bring me when he flies down to my terrace right now, because they're not serious about this. Comcast really doesn't want it. The only way Comcast could do it if somebody who just drops their bid out. All Comcast is trying to do is screw the Ellis. It's all they're trying to do. They're like, they know they want it to a certain extent. $60 billion for Warner Brothers. Okay, so depends on who you are, because remember, you still got that debt that's going to drag on your dollar.
What was the company? Wait, would you say they were valued at when they were bought by Discovery? You're like 44 billion, something like that.
What are you talking about when Fox, Disney purchased Fox?
No, when Discovery got Warner Brothers.
Discovery got Warner Brothers. It was $43 billion, down from the $74 billion that they'd been purchased by AT&T from. Okay. So it dropped significantly. But once again, they left them with a bunch of debt, and splitting up the company. If they're going to buy them as a whole, they're consuming all that debt. I don't know why you would do that, and why you would do it now, unless you just don't want Paramount, Skydance to have the company. But they can outbid you. If they really want to overpay for that company, they can outbid you. They can outbid Larry Ellison got $350 billion. There's no one who's going to outbid him. If he wants to bid that level of money, even with that much money, there's no guarantee that he wants to pay that much. See, it was different when Disney, because they really wanted those IPs. They really wanted that library. Warner Brothers has been sitting there for how long? 2 years now? I just don't, I think as far as the better company, if Comcast was an actual real reality, and it wasn't just the leprechauns and the jockalopes and Area 51 aliens and all that level, then Comcast, because I'm not really big on Paramount Skydance's plans for things. So if I had to flip a coin, if there were a coin to flip, it would be anybody but Paramount right now, because I don't think anybody else. Netflix, I don't think that's real, and I don't think the Comcast one is real. But if it were real Rational, yeah, let's go with them.
Teladius says, Brad, you don't know how much everything. Yeah, I have a lot more trouble getting on there these days, because I have for those of you I mentioned, I'm also an assistant instructor in my martial arts school, and I just have an earlier.
Don't care.
I'm giving people context.
Pocket stream, you showing me up to audio on my own show? I'm just fucking with you.
So I have on Saturdays there's one class I'm in as a student, but also there's I do multiple actually one-on-one lessons on Saturdays that starts at 9:30 in the morning for me. So I gotta adult, I gotta do some adulting in that, which is I got a couple hopefully coming up soon where I'll have a couple like longer. We got Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, so might be able to get back on and just shoot shit in a box stream then. But that's kind of why I've been AWOL there. So just give me context there, guys. And by the way, it's like what I do is like right now I've got 4 one-on-one lessons I do on Saturdays. I mean, I know people, other coaches there, they're doing like 15 on. I mean, I have so much respect for other people I work with in my school for that. It's like, because they've been doing it longer than I have as far as teaching goes. But...
Who's that?
Oh yes, definitely. Also, definitely released the Ghana Path edition.
Okay. Two things that were not on the bingo card day. All right, guys. Like I said, no more. Please, let's do better, man. Just because somebody posted a picture, you don't got to put on your diapers and go screaming about. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, that was embarrassing.
By the way, one very last thing I'll say to kind of cap this off. because again, when I talk about calling a spade, I need to pull something up for that real quick. Droga says, Brian through this. Yeah. Well, I mean,
actually, guys, here's the thing about that. Regardless to what the poster was doing, all right. Once again, are you a dog? Do you roll over when the master says so? Do you go fetch? Do you bring the bone back to me? Do you dance when I say dance? That your response to these things is up to you. If you decide to hit reply, that's on you. That is not on Bryan Singer. That is not on Zack Snyder. That is not on anybody. You deciding to throw your hat into the ring is totally on you. And how you decide to throw your hat in the ring once you do it is completely on you. You cannot blame Zack Snyder on that. You cannot blame any poster on that. It takes two to tango. And if you reply to it and if you interact with it, that's 100% on you. 100% on you.
Yeah, just last thing I want to kind of illustrate with that. So this is a discussing film. Their Twitter shared it, and there's like other every other outlet showed this. But right here you can see that's been looked just from discussing film from their post on this 22.8 million times in about 24 hours. So for whatever reason, Zach decided to have some fun and stir the pot. I think I'd say mission accomplished. So. I mean, I also, I mean, it's like one I shared where I shared the the Doc Ock gif of like Zach.
Why is it so hard? I said, I want you guys to go up and down my Twitter.
It's Doc Ock. Zach doing this. It's Doc Ock going, the power of the sun in the palm of my hand. So
you guys can go up to my Twitter right now for whatever, or any of my social media that's public facing. You won't see any of this shit on there. It's not hard. It's not impossible. It can be done. All right. Let's move on to something relevant because outside of a picture, that was made relevant. All right. Ace Frehley passes away at 74, co-founder of KISS. Died from complications after a fall. I knew something was up with him when he had to cancel his tour. I did not know he had suffered a head injury the second time around because he had fallen before. And I guess he wasn't in the best of health. And when you're that age and you fall, if you're not, it can be fatal. It can be fatal. All right. Paul Daniel Ace Frehley, born April 27, 1951, passed away October 16th, 2025. And he was an American musician who was the original and lead guitarist, occasional vocalist, and founding member of the rock band KISS. No matter what genre you guys are in, you know who they are, even if you don't like them or listen to them, you know who KISS is. I mean, I'm not the biggest KISS in the fan world, but I recognize what they are. He invented the persona of the spaceman, aka Space Ace, and originally played with the group from its inception in 1973 to his departure in 1982, which is a long time. But he would also rejoin periodically. He had his own band, Frehley's Comet. Why did I say Frehley? Frehley's Comet. Haley, got it to him, man. He had his own studio. He had his own full-on career. And this was his that face makeup was iconic. I remember when I was a kid, people would dress up as KISS, and he would be one of the ones that they would do. You just knew who they were. It was a pretty damn good guitarist too, by the way. I mean, once you started to, some of the stuff I heard, I did not purchase Ace Frehley stuff for myself, but I listened to radio stations, and he's on there. He's him, KISS, all that classic rock stuff. He was on there. They were huge, still are huge. They are allegedly retired, but you know how that goes. The Rolling Stones were going to retire at one point in time. They are in their 80s and they're still going. Yeah, that's somebody that he was him along with Gene Simmons were one of the creative forces with for this look. For this look in the 70s, and if none of us were around in the early 70s, maybe Fourth was, I don't know, but you had the way rock and roll was going. It just wasn't about you singing; it was about pageantry. David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, Queen. They were from Pink Floyd. Most of these bands, they were all talented, but they had to have that marketability to get into your living room. And this look sold dolls. It is sold. I got comics up here for Kiss. McFarlane had a line of Kiss dolls to go with Kiss Psycho Circus that was with Image. They did a very good job of making a brand out of rock and roll, a theatrical brand out of rock and roll. And I think they were one of the first ones to do it to that extreme. Everybody else had light shows and, pyrotechnics and, crazy things with the doing crazy stuff with the guitar, Hendrix setting the guitar on fire. They had theatrical things that they did. These guys were the show. The brand Kiss was the show. Ace Frehley was a big part of that. And he did a lot of stuff. He's produced a lot of stuff that when I was looking, at his career in retrospect, he was involved in a lot of stuff I didn't really give him credit for because I didn't understand that he was of that magnitude. But yeah, let's see. The statement went on to say, allergies. Ace Frehley, founding member of guitarist, dies at 74. His death was confirmed in a statement from his family. We are completely devastated and heartbroken. The statement said, in his last moments, we were fortunate enough to have been surrounded, for him to have been surrounded by loving and caring, peaceful words, thoughts, and prayers and intentions as he left this earth. So apparently he was injured, and he just passed post-injury. So they were all there, so they knew he was in grave condition. His laughter, and we celebrate his strength and his kindness that he bestowed upon others. The statement went on to say that the magnitude of this passing is of epic proportions and beyond comprehension, reflecting on all his incredible life achievements. Ace's memory will continue to live on forever. Frehley, whose costume stage persona with the band was called the Spaceman, was inducted with the band into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014. The news comes just weeks after Frehley canceled the remainder of his 2025 tours. This is what really sparked up some concern from me. And there's a barber down here. Just get a haircut. They're one of our sponsors. They are huge Kiss fans. They have signed boots and guitars. He's got an Ace Frehley guitar hanging down there. He's got Eddie Van Halen. You might have seen my picture on my Instagram. He's got one of Eddie Van Halen's guitars that he played hanging down there. So he's a big. There's a Kiss throne down there that people were coming in and paying tribute to. Due to some ongoing medical issues. So yeah, there he is. Sad week for rock and roll, and then you have the basis of Limp Bizkit passing away at 48. I don't even know what the hell happened there. I'm sorry, 48's too young to be going. 74, really, with modern the way people are living, a little bit longer. But he also had mitigating circumstances. But Ace really dead at age 74. He's one of the second member, Eric Carr, the second member of Kiss to pass away. And yeah, I think Eric Carr was cancer. So, but like I said, I don't have any illusions that this audience may or may not know who Kiss. They know who they are. You may not connect with them on that level, but once again, I think some of these guys are influential beyond our barriers. We may not listen to certain types of music, but when Dolly Parton, when people were passing rumors around that Dolly Parton was ill and gravely ill, and she had to create an Instagram video, there were people that were in the hip hop world that were like, "Is Dolly? What's happening with Dolly?" So there are certain people that are part of certain groups that transcend. So even if you weren't a Kiss fan, if you knew who Kiss was, he was a big part of what he did. All right, makeup was better than they were. I am not going to touch that one. Wow. They weren't for me. I'll leave it at that. Let's see. Some people say that. Yeah, there's Kiss games, there's Kiss cards, there's Kiss liquor, there's Kiss vodka. Dude, Gene Simmons in there, they made an industry out of Kiss. They really don't need to perform ever again.
Yeah, I discovered Kiss through Happy Gilmore as a kid. I know it's gonna break one that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. At least you discovered him, I guess.
No, it's when his grandmother is like he goes with his grandmother. She wears the Gene Simmons mask when he walks in the front door.
Gene Simmons was the most notable one because he had the long tongue. I think Paul Stanley did it, but not to the trademarked effect that Gene Simmons did.
How's it going, Bell?
Uh,
Force says some people say Kiss inspired Lobo. It was me.
yeah, you went back in Betty Pardon. Damn, I'm thinking Betty White. Why the fuck am I thinking about Betty White tonight? No reason.
We were talking about her the other night, mentioning.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
like how
and then
old,
Dick Van Dyke.
yeah. He's
Dolly
gonna be
Parton is
100.
a better. Yeah, I hope he makes. Please make it.
Yes, please
Dolly
make it.
Parton is a better human being than she is a singer, and she's an amazing person. I've heard people from you hear interviews about her from people that are nowhere near the country music genre because she's that type of person. She actually cares about shit.
I've been to
when
we were living in Fort Campbell. I've been to, because Nashville's like 50 miles away from there, so we went to Nashville all the time. I've been to Opryland. I've been to her. I'd meet her there, but I've been there plenty of times.
Yeah, Kiss was a major part of Bill. Yep. That them and Iron Maiden, I think, had a huge part of Betty Crocker. No, I haven't eaten anything with Betty Crocker. Bell did a live stream. How many F-bombs were there?
Was it the one about, because I bet it was the one about Zach's picture.
I didn't even see. Like I said, I turned my mind off from that picture. I'm like, this is the turkey thing all together again. This is the fucking turkey Thanksgiving thing all over again. And I can't believe that got that far. But then I look around at everybody involved, and I'm like, of course it did. Of fucking course it did. Because that's what you got to do.
I mean, one thing I'll say about this is, like, I don't think any other DC or generally like superhero comic book filmmaker, I don't think anyone has demonstrated an ability to tease the audience like Zach. Zach is like, he's his own marketing team. I mean, he's the king of teasing.
That's cool. You got to market yourself, but how we accept the marketing is what's just like. Ugh.
And see, there was one. Are you familiar with the one girl, Dania, from a while back? Yeah, so she was this. She did her master's thesis on the work of Zack Snyder, and she like kind of put that in an article for a comic book debate. I think it's their cinema debate now, but she got to interview Zack for that, and this really stayed with me because one of the questions she asked him was, what career does he think he would have gone into if he hadn't become a filmmaker? And he said, I probably would have gone into marketing. He said, I always really good at selling things. Like, yeah, I think is the social media activity of the last 8 years or so is definitely testimony to the fact that he is an extremely gifted marketing genius. So.
Yeah, and that's all great power to him. It's like how we handle what's posted that's all right. So Punisher number one.
Oh no, but it's perfect. We got the thumbnail. We got the Punisher, the first dude to play him on the thumbnail.
Oh, Dolph Lundgren. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, what?
Well, he was the first live action Punisher.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not bad.
Guys, when you're watching this show, my rules, there's only one live action Punisher. That's it. There's one. There's some other guys that did a really good job of playing a vigilante with a trench coat and maybe a skull somewhere around there. But yeah, there's one, and his name is John Bernthal, and that's it. All right, so I was very, very nervous when I heard this was coming out because of what's been going on with the Punisher in the last maybe 2 years or so, and I have not liked it. I don't like Punisher being associated in any way, shape, or form with the Avengers. I don't like Punisher being associated with magic and ninjas and stuff like that. It's okay when it's Daredevil. I'm okay with that, not Punisher. Some of the stories that have happened in the last couple of years with Frank Castle have been just one of those, hey, you know what? I just got to get past it. This won't be this way forever. You guys are welcome to have a different opinion about that, but you got to remember that when I was my earlier comic book collecting days, the Punisher and Mike Zeck were hand in hand, and how I came through as far as this style of storytelling. So, and to see all this crazy stuff that they've done with him recently, it just didn't fit me, so I passed on it. Reading this, it still has those elements. It doesn't have those elements in it, but it has remnants of it. Those things happened. The whole thing with the Kingpin being possessed by an evil spirit, and then he was exorcised, and now Kingpin is on the side of God now, and all he wants to do is things that God would do. That's tough. That is an element that's in this, and in these 2 issues. I'm okay with that. I can dismiss that because we got the Frank Castle that is closer to John Barenthal's Frank Castle in here, and if you look at the cover, kind of looks like him. And I'm not going to believe that the current Punisher did not influence some of this artwork. There are several covers, but this is one of the it's part of the Worlds to Come line, Marvel Knights Worlds to Come. But my favorite one, favorite 2, I guess, would be this one right here, because this one just jumps out at you. They've been doing this lately with Wolverine. Some of them, if there's violence in it, a lot of it's a gimmick to basically, hey, this is special. It's kind of like when the explicit stickers were put on me too horny or me so horny, all that, the 2 Live Crew, that ended up tripling the sales of that. Same thing with NWA. They did all that stuff, but this actually is a little bit disturbing. Tombstone has taken Kingpin's place as a Kingpin of Prime, and it opens up with Frank Castle, who conveniently has amnesia. I'm going to let you guys read the actual book so you can figure out why, but he's got amnesia. He does not forget how to fight and how to kill. Oh, fuck no. But he forgets everything about Frank Castle. He forgets who he is. The story starts with him surrounded by a bunch of dead people selling fentanyl on a boat, and being severely wounded and having to be rehabbed by this old lady that sews up his wounds. And then he realizes he has a wound in his head, and he's like, "Thanks for sewing up, the wound in my head." He's like, "No, that was done before you got here." So somebody's done something to his brain and taken away his memory of what it is. They tell you who it is in the comic, but once again, I don't want to spoil it for you. So Tombstone, the first thing that you see him, and it's a very grisly looking Tombstone. It's not the Tombstone that you guys remember from the comic books where he's got the flat top and he got the ghost look. He's got those elements to him, but he's a little bit more frightening this time around. And the first thing you do, he's dismembering somebody that he thinks hit his boat. The boat turns out that it's his boat. It's his supply boat, and he thinks rival gangs. He doesn't know that the Punisher's back in New York yet. So it's a very violent book, which is great. This is a version of Tombstone.
Fourth sold.
Yeah, this is the version of Tombstone that I can buy into. I've never been the biggest fan of Tombstone. Ever since he was one of the main characters in Spectacular Spider-Man. I thought his look was over the top. The stories that they try to fit him in, I always knew he was like the number 3 or 4 dude. Here, he's presented as a legit number 1 villain, and without anybody else involved. The thumbnail I used, what I did is I put the skull behind it. I love the artwork in this comic. Just to let you know. Okay, so yeah, just to give you a sense of just how gloriously violent this is. There are compound fractures all over this. I think a guy lost his arm at the top of the page. What else has he got in there? And like I said, it reminded me of Barenthal's Punisher more than anything. I mean, he's spitting out teeth. I'm just trying to show you. Yeah, there's a whole had a party. They're all dead. There you go. This book is great. But one of the coolest things that when I picked it up, this back cover. That's part of it's a wraparound sort of, but it's a back cover of some of the stuff that went on. They used to do this all the time. They used to do these wraparounds with no virgin cover, with nothing on it. They used to do these back, and I saw this. It was cool. It reminds me of the old Steranko stuff that used to happen with Nick Fury and Shield and Hellhound Commandos, where they would do that. It was like, I call it spy covers because it's the kind of art that they would do James Bond movies for. I recommend this book if you are old school Punisher. and you weren't really on board with the Magic Punisher or whatever was going on, Puff the Magic Punisher, I don't know. If that wasn't your thing, and if you grew up with Punisher and you like the violence, you like the weaponry, you like these skilled killing, he's come home. Frank has come home. And I highly recommend this book. I hope, like I said, its only weakness is that it has remnants of that era that I want to forget. Like I said, Kingpin is in here, as a born-again Christian, basically. And it just doesn't fly with me, but everything about the Punisher does. So I hope the story continues. It's 2 issues out right now. This is issues number 1, and this is issue number 2. Oh, by the way, here's another one of the covers I like. And one of this emblem that they got him wearing, that's what he's wearing throughout. It's the skull or it's nothing. Not the goat skull, it's the death head skull or nothing. That is part of it. And then you see this one is where they agreed with me. I love this cover. So Punisher number 1, but number 2, they're out now on the shelves. Give it a read if you're into Punisher, or if you're into or you just weren't into the last couple of years of what was going on in Daredevil. So there you go. I don't know where Brad went. Just leave during the middle of the fucking show. All right, so. Yeah, this version of him, Mighty Rex, looks more like something out of what was that? I Am Legend. You remember the monsters in I Am Legend? That's what he reminded me of in here. I hope it's like I said. Well, Barenthal, it's a PG-13 movie. I don't know how much you can put Barenthal's Punisher in there. He's very vile. He's very vulgar, and he kills a lot of people in very graphic nature and at close range. I don't know if I want to see a desanitized cover. What's with you and Soul Plane, Joker? You're gonna have to explain this to me one day. I hate that. I don't want Punisher anywhere near this stuff. Punisher is at his best when he's doing exactly what you saw in there, killing fools. I don't even like it when Punisher's up against Superhuman. I like Punisher when he's killing thugs, drug dealers, pimps, traffickers, human traffickers. That's where Punisher thrives. Once you start putting Punisher in the supernatural, it just really doesn't work. I don't need to see him on just Ghost Rider, Spirit of Me. I don't need to ever see that. So this is what appeals to me in this book. This is why I'm like, okay, yeah, we're back home. There are still some pieces of Punisher from the old, tenants that are still there. We need to get rid of those yard sale, but for the most part, we're back home. So pick it up. All right. You got anything to add? By the way, I should probably consult with you since you're the co-host if you have anything to add. I'm almost afraid to ask you because it'll be some crazy shit.
Well, I mean, they're like this issue. It's like, yeah, I was kind of out of the loop on that, so okay, let that. But I mean, Punisher generally. I mean, I love Warzone.
You talking about the comic or the movie?
The movie.
Okay. Yeah, good vigilante movie. Good.
Yeah. Best live action take on the Punisher we have seen, inarguably.
Now you're just
certainly best live action Jigsaw we've gotten.
Rest in peace, but no, no.
But yes,
no.
All right.
You see John Bernthal, it should cleanse your mind of anybody who's ever tried to wear that skull. To be honest with you.
Well, it didn't. So there you go.
Yeah. It's some people can't be saved, but no. Once again, there's one. There's one.
Yeah, and his name is Ray Stevenson.
No. Ray Stevenson's a great actor. He just wasn't a great Punisher.
And by the way, it's like
wasn't his fault. He was. Ray
I
Stevenson would have been better if he'd have gotten better to work with. If he'd have gotten better material to work with, he could have been an excellent. But he didn't. John Bernthal was the beneficiary of better writing, better storytelling, and better character development. It wasn't Ray Stevens or what's the other guy, Thomas J. It wasn't their fault. They did the best to what they were given.
Dolph Lundgren was in the '89 movie.
Yeah, which those weren't the Punisher. Those are dudes with guns and trench coats in a skull somewhere. No. John Bernthal is the Punisher. All right.
Warzone is rad, guys.
Okay. Fix your brain, though. I didn't say Warzone was an awful movie. As somebody who's grown up with the Punisher, though, that was not the Punisher. I didn't see the Punisher until I saw
punish people in it?
Well, so did Steven Seagal. Is that that makes him the Punisher?
Oh no, dude, no, that's taking it too far. Like it ain't the Seagal. Seagal wishes he was this as good as Stevenson in Warzone. Got to imagine what Warzone would have looked like if we had Seagal as a Punisher. I can almost see them trying to cast Seagal. If they tried like '94 or something like to do like a Punisher movie, I could almost see them trying to cast Seagal on that.
Yeah. Those people who say Christopher. Oh wait, hold on. What is this? Oh, Joe. Something's wrong. I didn't feel like reading that.
Let's say Christopher Reeve is the only.
They have their every right to say that. That's their opinion. This is mine. Now, when you act like a fucking dummy about it, though, that's the problem. You can say Superman's his own, if Christopher Reeve's only Superman's view, but when I like if I said, Brad, you're a fucking dummy, you fucking idiot. What do you mean that John Bernthal? John Bernthal is the definitive Punisher. Now, I might joke with him, but you seriously know that I don't think any less of him because he thinks Ray Stevenson is a better. I don't agree. I just come in from my opinion, and that's fine. Now, the people who say Christopher Reeves is the definitive Superman, that's fine. I disagree with them. I think he was a definitive Superman for a point, but that's changed. But I'm not going to think any less of you unless you act like a jackass about it.
Well, and like. He was the Superman I grew up with. I mean, he was my intro to Superman, but he's also
yes, he is.
He's in. I mean, and this is what makes like Christopher Reeves like kind of enshrining of that just so kind of paradoxical to me. It was like, I mean, yeah, he was phenomenal in the role, but also like he as far as like the movies he was in, I mean, the batting average is at best 50%. Maybe you could be generous if you want to say, okay, we're going by both versions of 2, and it's like that heightens it a little bit, but. Again, 3 is I still can't get my head around how anybody thinks that Quest for Peace is worse than 3.
I think they were equally bad, and I think Superman 2. I'm not a big Donner cut thing. I never thought that needed to see the light of day, but it did. It didn't change anything for me.
One thing about that too, that was released is, I mean, if you make that Snyder cut comparison, that was released like when the Christopher Reeve movies. I mean, the book was closed on them, so it was there was This was like a kind of an added sort of like legacy collector's edition kind of thing when the Donner cut was released. It's very different circumstances.
Yeah, you guys know how I feel about these cuts. Stop. Hey, stop.
Punish watch parties.
Well, no, if you're in the chat, you punish the watch parties. All right, so where we at? All right. I am going to set up. We're going to go on to the movie poster.
Yeah,
when I actually want to. I want to walk around the store. I don't want to.
Masters of the Universe from.
No, I threw that out there because of Jesus that passed away this week. Those are all his.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I just put that there to illustrate.
And he was a great poster artist.
He was prolific. In fact, he might be responsible for the ones I'm about to show you. All right, I'm going to mute myself because I don't want the feedback. Give me a couple of minutes and I'll be right back.
Okay. And while Ian's muted, we're going to talk about the Furious, and we can't wait for that. Okay, let's see what else you guys got in the comments. And next watch party, Spinal Tattoo. Then Duck Time. Yeah. Yeah, can't wait. Tombstone looks too similar to Morbius. By the way, I don't want to look this up real quick because apparently Brand New Day has a female villain in it. So, and let me see, because I didn't read the article about this, but maybe they just alluded to it because I didn't see who it was. Okay, yeah, there's either Shathra. The rumors are like Shathra, Black Cat. I mean, she's like Catwoman. In fact, she's a little bit different from Catwoman because she's like Catwoman's an anti-hero. Black Cat is like outright, is heroic. So not quite the same thing. But I do hope she's in because I want to see Black Cat in a Spider-Man movie for ages and ages and ages and ages and ages. Apparently it's meant to go off when Punisher killed Mask Gang. Punisher season. Okay. By the way, also today, a couple of 1-year anniversaries today for first birthday for A Smile 2, which is my pick for best horror movie of last year, and 1-year birthday for The Shadow Strays. I absolutely, another mass action masterwork by Timo Tsujanto. So happy birthday to Smile 2 and The Shadow Strays. Would you rather see a sequel to The Raid or Mystery Men? Well, I mean, I already got a sequel to The Raid. I got The Raid 2. So if you're talking about The Raid, I mean, if that's the choice, then it's like, yeah, I will choose The Raid 3. And Garrett, that was, he's alluded to, it's like, he kind of closed the book on that for a while, but then when he was making Havoc and he hooked up with Iko Uwais again, and he said, no, actually, we bounce some ideas off each other. It's like, maybe I might actually want to go ahead and do this. So might get The Raid 3 now, finally. Black Cat and live action. Well, I mean, we did technically get a little bit of her in Amazing 2 when who was in his real quick, because her name is escaping me, but like the chick from Rogue One, Felicity Jones, where she makes a cameo as Felicia Hardy. So we did, see her in cameo form as like a board member of Oscorp, but that's the extent of it so far. Oh, yes, I did, sis. We are waiting on that. Brad, what Spider-Man villain is a shapeshifter? Because they've been saying Dottie Sink might play a shapeshifter in Brand New Day. And yeah, there's Shathra is one who's been alluded to as Shathra as a shapeshifting female Spider-Man villain. So it might be her. Hello, cat. What's new, pussycat? And William's taking his time getting this set up. William for Punisher Comics. What are opinions on Punisher War Journals? Well, welcome back, Frank. And yeah, War Journals and Welcome Back, Frank. Those are kind of like some of the better known Punisher runs. So I'm sure he's definitely a big fan. Batman versus Dracula. Yeah, that's me. Happy 20th. Happy 20th to Batman versus Dracula. See what else you guys got for me. It's a great Halloween movie. Man, give a look. I remember as a kid seeing Batman with Scooby and the gang a lot. Those are my favorite Scooby-Doo episodes because they had Batman in it. Of course, it's going to be some of my favorite ones. Stray Cat, huge question for you. Do you prefer? Yes, it's a very loaded question for our feline friend in the chat. Actually, I did go get that look. That was pretty good. I did think it was pretty good. Brad, any of you, the guys from the Raid movies you want to see come into either DC or Marvel, and what heroes you want them to play? Ooh, man. That is really interesting. I mean, obviously, I love to see Iko and Yayan and Chesheb. Who could they be? Yeah. I mean, I always said, BVS, the warehouse fight, that was the Batman in the Raid. So, seeing if you got actually Raid guys. I might need to think on that a little bit because I don't know who could those guys, as far as DC characters, could they play. I definitely would love to see them in a Batman movie.
All right, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so
Like I said at the beginning of the show, when it comes to movie posters, no matter how old you are, whether you're whatever generation you're in, you have come upon a movie poster and it meant something to you. Um, Even now in 2025, with so many digital ways to get you going for a movie, the primary one, the most effective one in a lot of ways, is going to be the movie poster. And there's a couple of different reasons why. Generally, you see a poster like this while you're at a movie. So you're already predisposed to go see a movie. So when you see something, hitting the theaters, usually most of your movie posters, 36 by 48, or 48 by 24, one sheets or dual sheets. So I'll show you the difference. And you're going to have the date on there. So it's October. So I'm going to see something in there. Maybe I'll see Badlands. And there'll be an excellent poster. And there is an excellent poster for Badlands I'll be getting. You're in the movie theater. You're in the mood. You're predisposed. That movie poster is effective. And I'm going to show you a couple of different examples of movie posters. Let me fix my camera and turn it this way. All right, so StreamYard, you suck. Hold on, it's not responding, but let me see this facing back. All right, let's start with this one. All right, so this movie right here, this is for Renfield. I had a lot of fun with this movie, especially as a Universal's Monster fan. But this is a basic poster right here. Your star, front and center, Nicolas Cage. And that's what it does. Now, right here at the bottom, there's your standard in theaters, April 14th. The tagline, sucks to be him. Along with everything else, posters like this are really cool. It doesn't have to be spectacular. There's different ways to do this. A lot of times you can get away with just having the star. Even if there are other stars or other elements in the movies, obviously Nicolas Cage is going to Academy Award winner. Is going to be the biggest thing about this movie. It's going to be the draw about this movie. This is what you see when you're walking out of a movie theater. Now, we're going to go over to Dune. Two different types of posters here. Here's Dune 1, and here's Dune 2. So these two posters reflect where the story was in each of them. Dune 1, all these elements get introduced. This is a movie, and it puts your star, your draw, one of your major draws, right front and center at the top. I don't know if this is called the floating head ones or what this one particular calls. I think the floating head ones is when you're just basically disembodied. But it gives you all the major players in one shot. But the size of them, the size of their heads, you can clearly see Timothée Chalamet is the bigger centerpiece of this. So even though you have an Academy Award winner right there in Javier Bardem, but he's not the focus point of the story. Paul is. Now, you come over to Dune Part 2, none of those elements are there. And if you saw Dune, the relationship between him and Zendaya's character was the primary factor in the movie. And you knew that if you had seen one. So these two are the two most important. There's so many spectacular things in Dune, but it doesn't matter. The movie poster gives you those two. Those are who this movie's about. You already know the atmosphere. So when it's a sequel, it can be less because you already have established it. So those are the two type of movie posters. Now, this is one I think that is done by Drew himself. This is Star Trek Wrath of Khan. This is 1982. Almost every movie poster I can remember when I was a kid was painted like this. Ricardo Montalban, looking like he did even at that age. There he is. Your iconic people. You got Spock, you got Kirk, and you have the Enterprise. That's generally what this movie's about. The Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan is about the chess game, the battle between James T. Kirk and Khan Noonien Singh. There are other elements about it that are in this poster, but you got Project Genesis. You have the where Project Genesis was at, and then this is what I call like an epic poster. This is one of those things that this is kind of stuff I collect. But when you saw this coming out of the theater, especially in 1982, when there was just, I think there's so many movies out, and they were all, every movie poster, Conan painted, Tron painted, E.T. painted. They were all painted to look big like this. And then you go to something like Star Trek. This is Star Trek 6. This is The Undiscovered Country. So if you're going to see Star Trek 6, there's a lot of elements I don't need to put in a poster about it. You're going to know. But the story of Star Trek 6 was about the USS Enterprise being sent on a mission of peace with the Klingons after the moon of Praxis had been destroyed. So what's the basic element of Star Trek that you're going to know of, other than the characters themselves? The USS Enterprise, there it is. And the movie's about peace with Klingons. So you have simple things like that just make it real simple and real easy to do. I got some more around here that are pretty big. But yeah, the average size of these things, they're pretty big. They're pretty big. Now, you'll know the difference between a reproduction. They're all reproductions, but the immediate thing that you'll know about just a regular facsimile is this one is 36 by 24. And this one down here is an actual size that it would be in the actual theater when you see the one sheets. Now, one of the most recent ones, obviously, that we're going to know is Superman. Now, we all know that movie had a crap load of characters in it, right? But I didn't need any of them. I didn't need Hawk Girl. I didn't need any of those characters just for the basic one sheet. This is the original one sheet. Now, they do have one with all that on it. But this is the one that was in the theater that we rented. This is the basics. Tagline, look up. Everything you need to know about the movie. It's James Gunn movie, DC Studios, Superman. And then the most important thing about it, July 11th, which is the release date. So there's different ways to do this, but there's different errors too. Back in the early 80s, the mid 80s, Back to the Future, you'll see the ones that I put on the thumbnail, almost all painted. They wanted you, and the reason why they were painted is the same reason why novels and things like that are painted, and that are important, because when you're painting something like this, there's a certain piece of art and prestige and importance that goes with painted artwork over anything else. And that's why these are done this way. This one, not as much. This one is painted, but it's obviously it's a portrait. It's not like the one I just showed you where like Khan was completely constructed from a painted figure. So now I'm going to bring out, I got a lot of movie posters for those of you who have, if you live in Las Vegas, because you've gotten them. Hold on for a second. Be right back. I want to find my Flash ones. The Flash ones are the cooler ones. I don't care what anybody says about the movie, your opinion about the movie notwithstanding. Some of the promotional work that they did for the Flash was cool. So here we go. So let me sit this up here that you guys can see. I need to get one of those head cams. Oops. Turn around. Front. There we go. Oh, that's too high. It's how the Funkos there. All right. This is one of the cooler things that they did for the Flash. They did mini posters that had elements of these stories. So we didn't have we had one big one that had all of this on it, but then they would hand out these. These are the ones we handed out when we promoted the movie. So, spoiler alert, there's a part of the movie that is let me go full screen. Can you make me full screen, Brad?
Yeah, just a second.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so obviously when you see the Flash, there's an element of the Flash that takes place in the Batcave. A significant portion of the movie takes place in the Batcave in Batman's lab. If you look closely here, you can see the Batcave. These are the elements of the Batcave, the landing for it. And you can actually see one of them. Yeah, if you look close to the side here, you can see the Batwing. That's Keaton's Batwing. And then there is the Flash. So I really love these. I love handing these out. The Flash is about time travel and about realities and fucking things up. There's another one. This is an hourglass with sand in it. Every element of the movie is in here. This is all painted as well. Every element of the movie is in here. Tells you a story. There's the Flash, obviously the centerpiece of the entire thing. There's Supergirl flying in there. There's Bats, and then there's Batman. And then there's time running out. And the whole movie, since it's about the control of time, it's very relevant. This was my this was probably the most effective one I enjoyed. I have all this is all three of them. Worlds Collide. That was the tagline, only in theaters June 16th. Ben Affleck on the Batcycle. Michael Keaton's Batman in his Batwing. Sasha K as Supergirl, if you can't see her. And then that's her bringing up Barry to when he needed to be struck by lightning. And if you look close on this one, Brad will probably get a kick out of that. There's your world engine because all that was revisiting.
Yep.
So this is what's called a promotional poster. This is something that you could make a big giant poster out of, but a lot of times this is when you start to break it down into events like what I do. So if I'm hosting a screening or I'm promoting the movie, this is something that would help tell the story in advance of the movie. It serves the same purpose as a standard movie poster, but it's a little bit more detailed because we're not just introducing you to the characters of the movie now. We are giving you elements of the story now. And a lot of times these are effective as the movie has been released. Whereas a movie poster, standard movie poster for the most part, is the most effective leading you up to the movie. This is something that we released during the movie, during the first couple of weeks of the movie, when we were still promoting it all the way to the next week, because it gives you elements of the story. And if you're handing this out, it gets the conversation started. If I hand this to a layman, they start asking questions about it, and then I start explaining, especially if I've seen the movie. Helps promote the movie after the fact. So that is a promotional poster, but I have even more of those. Be right back. I'm doing this over here because some of these things are huge. Okay. Hope I'm close enough or far enough with. This is one for Venom Last Dance. This is a styrofoam one, but it's basically a mock-up of the same thing that promoted the poster or promoted the movie before. Once again, Star, primary character. He played a dual role, obviously Eddie Brock and he's Venom. So Death Do They Part was a tagline, title, in October. This was actually done before we actually had a date for Venom. This actually came out, and we were promoting. Since it was so far in advance, they went ahead and started promoting it before we actually had a date. So you'll notice out of all the ones I've shown you, this is one of the rare ones that does not have a date because we didn't have one. We had a lot of that with post-COVID, by the way. They were not sure when they wanted to put these films in, and until literally sometimes the last maybe month and a half. By that time, things like this had already been made. All right. One of my favorite ones, and from a movie that, like, was one of my that one Best Picture, and like I said, it hadn't been for Dune. Probably what who knows? Oppenheimer. Probably besides Dunkirk, my favorite Nolan movie, and not, like I said, you guys know I'm not the biggest Nolan fan in the world, but his good movies are great. I had several different ones of these. One of them is with I think it's over there, and I'm going to look for it. Is where what's his name? It's up here. Damn, Cillian Murphy is walking through the fire, and I'll show you that one. Here is a different one. So this one's been kind of ripped up, but Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., and Florence Pugh. All the primaries are at the top, and then one huge image. This is from the image of the test. This is the image of the test that they were doing, and that's Oppenheimer looking through. I don't know why they chose that image, but it was effective. Now, the replicas and the ones that are in the movie theaters are dual sheeted. And the reason why this is done that way is because they are usually put on a lit panel. So when you get these things, these are this is a 46 by 24. It's the same basic size as the ones that you will see in the theater. So that's Oppenheimer. And then some of the movies that are super small budgeted movies that are not going to make a lot of money, that are good though, are the ones that benefit the biggest from movie posters, because it may be the only shot you get to make an impression. That's Oppenheimer one. This is a movie that we did a watch party on. Brad will know what it is. Monkey Man.
Ooh, yeah.
Monkey Man, this poster gets you to walk over to the side of the building that this is on, and at least give it a shot. More of a shot than you would have given it before. This gets it into a conversation about you. And now once you're up close to it, because you use the red, brilliant use of reds. Red, you don't need to know how to read or write. You know what red means. Red means stop. Red means something is important, pretty much. And now that you've gotten them over here, you start seeing a familiar name, Jordan Peele. Now you start associating Jordan Peele with movies you may know about, even if you don't know what the hell Monkey Man is or was. If you know who Death Patel is. So that gets you, and a lot of times when you're in the theaters, you'll have QR codes, and then you also have digital ones of these that have like a bunch of them in there, and they keep rotating. And then they'll have, but a lot of times you'll have the QR code if they're doing it right. And QR codes are where you can scan, and sometimes tickets are available like right then and there. Sometimes it's within the window to where you know what, I'm in the mood. I got my popcorn. I just saw a kick-ass movie that I really, really liked, and then here's this movie. Why not? I want to come back to the theater. So that's where a movie poster for a small budgeted movie will really help you out. Let me go find out. I'm looking for my big one. I think got moved. I got sold. Talk to the chat, Brad, while I'm grabbing this.
All right.
Don't.
Fourth one, see show the poster for The Dark Knight Rises.
I cabled all the way. I don't have any. I gave all my. I had them all. Actually, the only one I did not promote was Batman Begins, because I was deployed. But The Dark Knight, I gave away the Heath Ledger one. We actually had a signed Heath Ledger one that they had to give away. after he had passed. So it was a pretty good price for somebody to pick up. But the Dark Knight Rises, I had that poster, but we gave it away. Generally, I try to give them all away. I rarely keep them. Like some of the ones you see me have, some of them are a little bit damaged. That's why I still have them, and I use them for reference. And sometimes if I'm with a customer and we spark up a conversation about any of these things, I grab a poster and give it to them. You know, just to give them a memory of that. But I'm gonna look for my really big one here.
Aaron says she loved the Harry Potter posters. Did he work on those too?
Yeah, yes, the guy who passed Drew, he worked on those.
The best and simplest poster is the mask with his smile beneath the hat brim. Yeah, the mask had a pretty good poster. Anthony asks, William, do you have any posters for Blade Runner 2049 or Minority Report? I've got a few more here. And William, do you have any movie posters for Blade Runner 2049? I got a whole list here, man. Minority Report, 30 Days of Night, Near Dark, or Star Trek Into Darkness. I think William might be out of earshot now. Meanwhile, the cat. Yeah, William, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony asks, William, do you have any posters for Blade Runner 2049, Minority Report, 30 Days of Night, Near Dark, or Star Trek Into Darkness?
No on all but one of those. All right, so real quick, we promoted Army of Darkness. Army of Dead. That was the one we got for that one. We got a big one of those too, but we only got the one.
Yeah, hold that poster up again, William. Because I really I loved Army of the Dead, but that poster, and don't get me wrong, it's not a bad poster, but it makes the movie, I think, probably. I think you'd look at this poster and think the movie is like a little closer in tone to like Zombieland, or it might make you think from that poster that it's more comedic than it is. Not that it doesn't have comic relief, but it's like more like an outright comedy. That's just me though.
Guardians of the Galaxy, we actually have big ones of these, but these are actually signed because Lloyd Kaufman he's in a cameo. He signed these when he was here. That's the Guardians of the Galaxy 2.0 one. So, this is one of the ones, obviously, topical because of I believe this is done by him himself. This is Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
This is a classic one. This is one of the ones that Star Wars really helped revolutionize the game when it came to painted cinematic posters. This is Return of the Jedi. This is how it looked, and this is one of the many that came out for Return of the Jedi. There were posters that were made with Revenge of the Jedi on it that are worth a lot of money if you can get the originals of them. Be right back. Looking for the one big one.
You need to watch Army of the Dead again. Yeah, I loved Army of the Dead. I saw it in that hat theater run. I saw that 4 times during the theater run, like in the theater. That's how much I dug Army of the Dead. Like Zach, like outside of his superhero stuff, I mean, probably my favorite work of his is 300 and his zombie movies. Like Army of the Dead is like pretty damn awesome. Lucasfilm in general they do have iconic posters. Brad, do you like any of the posters for the sequel of Star Wars movies? Just the posters, not the movies. I'm not sure you're asking, Anthony. Are you asking me if I just like the post for like the sequel, the Star Wars sequels? I mean, this is probably gonna sound like a hot take on here. It's like my favorite. Oh, slip down there a minute. My favorite of the sequel trilogy is actually The Last Jedi. And I know people have opinions on that one way or another. That's actually my favorite of the sequel trilogy is The Last Jedi. Yeah, they all have good posters though. Yeah. In fact, actually, as much as I'm looking forward to the Mandalorian and Grogu, I think that's actually kind of a bit of a lackluster poster for what we've seen so far. Scarface poster is pretty iconic. A lot of rappers had it in MTV Cribs. Do you have the Scarface poster, William? I think you might be out of your shot again. Let's see. Figure One was awful. The movie I liked was Solo. Or you're talking about the sequels, the Star Wars sequels? Yes. I mean, I don't think any of them are bad. I think they're pretty good. The only one that I kind of had some issue with was Rise of Skywalker, which is like it's enjoyable, but I mean, I don't think didn't really quite stick the landing. And you could tell definitely it was reshot, and tweaked to hell, like how much Disney was just reactionary to the audience reaction to The Last Jedi and what have you.
This is the basic Flash one that came out to
Yep.
advertise the Flash. I thought this marketed heavily too much on Batman. This entire poster, the entire bottom of the poster, is Keaton's Batwing. You can't see it, but it's silhouette. He's in the forefront. Yes, the Flash is in the middle, but I thought this was one of the mistakes that they made when doing that movie is they relied too heavily on the nostalgia that was Michael Keaton rather than explaining why I should come see the main character. Looking for one more.
Karate Kid. Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. You know what else was an iconic poster, Aaron? The Raid. The Eco standing in front of the building. Like, oh yeah, I got to go in here and just like fight for survival. Yes, Karate Kid definitely has an iconic poster. Actually, I think probably my favorite of the Flash posters probably was the one in the Batcave. And the tagline "Worlds Collide." That's probably my favorite of the Flash posters. Oh yeah, they got some good posters too. They definitely have some good posters. Oh, how dare you! How dare you! Go rent that right now on Amazon, and the Raid 2 with it. Not permit people in the chat who have not properly appreciated the Raid. The Lord of the Rings posters were great. Yeah, I just never really got into the Lord of the Rings franchise. And I know people are. One joke I kind of tell is like I've never met a Tolkien fan who isn't a Tolkien scholar. I mean, Tolkien fans are just they know everything there is to know about Tolkien. Yeah. So yeah, just didn't pull me in though. Now thinking thinking about it, every Dark Horse adaptation has incredible posters. You talk about like Hellboy and what have you. And this is another Dark Horse one. Anybody remember Virus from 1999 with Jamie Lee Curtis? That was Dark Horse.
Okay. Go ahead and put me back on full screen again.
There you go.
Let's go lower in this one. So I don't know how the fuck I can see this other one. All right. So remember I told you about the Oppenheimer one. One of them was the one I showed you, and this is the one. This was the first one that they did. This is the one title character Oppenheimer. This is a really nice one. The color of fire, everything shows you everything. Like I said, the standard stuff that shows you everything in it, everybody in it, movie, director, producer, a lot of your investors, a lot in that fine print there. But film by Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, and this was released before the actual date was announced. I got these a long before. And once again, front and back, and this is the ones that will they would use in the movie theaters. So, and then there's one last one I show you. Technically, it's not a movie poster, but it is an advertisement in the same vein as a movie poster. It had the same purpose. And might have to gonna need to move the camera. I am gonna put this so you guys can kind of see this. As I've shown you guys plenty of times when we did the Blade Runner or the advertising campaign we did at Warner Brothers and Columbia gave me this. Far back, it's huge. I am 6'2". This is over 6'2". I was originally given 3 of these. This one would be in the center, and either side would have one of them had Harrison Ford on it, and the other one to the right just had Ryan Gosling on it. This is what you call this is the dual one, and then the last one that they gave us had everybody on the cover. But these were what you would see if you went to a bus stop or some of the larger displays in a movie theater at a mall. Can you guys see all that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Can you see it? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So this is pretty good. I'm holding this as high as I can. I'm pretty tall and I have long arms. Front and back. And it was designed, it's made out of that nice little plastic stuff that you can, when you put it, it was designed to be put in a lit display, either in a theater or they call these bus shells. I have had offers for these. I will never give these up. If you're a first-time watcher to the show, you need to understand how I feel about Blade Runner 2049 to understand it. So there we go. Those are what movie posters are. Those are what the effect that they have on marketing. And there's just something that these things can do that goes beyond, in my opinion, what a video can do. A trailer can get you going in a certain way, but I just think, and there's a reason why decades and decades and decades that these things they haven't gone away. Everything else goes away. Movie posters don't go away. Go to your movie right now. A movie that's coming out three months from now is going to be displayed in the way that I just showed you. So there are many different ways to do it, but given the passing of Drew, I keep fucking up his last name because I don't have it in front of me. It just, to me, it reminded me of the importance of, and it's underrated, by the way. I wouldn't have been able to pick his name. I knew who he was. He's been at Comic-Con, but he wasn't a household name. But his work was everywhere. His work is all over my store. His work is all over Hollywood. So, and there are more like him. There are more like him. There are more artists that are a part of the game. He was just one of the ones that I think established it as a powerful marketing tool, not just for movies, but for special releases, videos, video games, home video. So that particular person was a master at it, but there are others out there that are still doing it. So, all right, I'm gonna go back to the desk. So I'll be right.
Everything's okay. Yeah, that is big. That's like a flag there that he was holding up. Those are taking my theory. Yeah, there usually are. They usually are. 6 feet 2 inches must be nice. Yep.
I hope that was somewhat informative. I hope you guys look at movie posters and that type of promotion differently than you did before this show. Does anybody got any questions about any movie posters that you may or may not have had before this presentation? I see Droga talking about the food he's eating, which is not part of the. No, I did not promote. I was not with that company at the time that did that. I did the later ones, though. I did the later Hobbit movies and stuff that would come out afterwards. Soto was okay. I mean, I didn't hate it. I just thought it was like, is wrong time for that movie. Yeah, Lucasfilm. I have some Indiana Jones ones, just not here. All the Indiana Jones ones, even for I think the best Indiana Jones one is for one of my least favorite of the original three, which was The Last Crusade. It had a really nice poster with Sean Connery and all that, but it just reminds me that there's just too many fucking people in that movie. Let's see, Lord of the Rings. Nightmare on Elm Street has an epic one. I had that one here at one time, but I sold that one. That's the one where I think it was it looked like it's Bill Sienkiewicz, and it's got the claw, and it's Heather Langenkamp's face, and it's all painted, abstract painted. I wish I had that one again. Let's see. Now let's stop with Freddy. Let's be done for another 10, 20 years with Freddy. We know we don't need any more Freddy. We don't need more Jason. Let's come up with an original horror IP. Horror makes money. Let's come up with something new. We don't need to rely on Freddy, Jason, and Michael all the time. Yeah, it's huge. It took everything I had to get it in the frame because, like I said, I'm tall, but it's me standing, and my arm length is taller than 6 feet. So it touches my feet. So, and I got two of those. I mean, the closest that they came to making them out of vinyl is what you saw my Blade Runner one out of. Vinyl's pretty expensive to do a poster with, so they generally make it out of a plastic composite one, and they're very fragile too, by the way. No, I do not. No, I do not. I'm surprised I didn't have posters of the TCU movies or any other horror films. What's the TCU? Oh, you Texas Chainsaw? No, I didn't. Most of the posters that I have, other than a few facsimiles, like the Star Trek ones or things like that, are leftover posters that I promoted. No, just make Freddy Krueger gone for a while. I'm talking about a generation. I think we need to skip a generation.
Well, I mean, we've got this generation has this Freddy Krueger. His name is Art the Clown.
Yeah, but he's not a wide appeal character. I mean, Freddy wasn't really supposed to be, but he's much more. Art the Clown is really is like I said, much more disturbing. In the 80s, everybody saw Freddy. There's only.
Here, just clarified. Twisted Childhood Universe.
Oh, I have one, and it's signed by all of them. I actually have one, and it's Forgot where, because when we remodeled, I pulled it down because I didn't want to get down. But I actually have a Twisted Childhood universe. They don't get wide theatrical release enough for them to do that though. They're in like theaters for a couple of days, like Fathom events, and it's really not cost effective for them to do it that way. I hope as they get bigger, we get more posters. No, I do not have any Child's Play ones. So. All right, your static is back. Let's see where we're at. So we covered Punisher, covered movie posters. Oh, let's cover WrestleDream, and that'll be it for the night. WrestleDream. I'm just gonna go over real quick. I'm not even gonna bring over graphics because it was a long ass pay-per-view, man. Tony, you need to chop an hour off. All right, this is for my wrestling geeks. WrestleDream 2025. Third annual WrestleDream took place today. Took place in St. Louis, Missouri, and they had the little set design. Okay, the buy-in event that started at 15 minutes. This match was too long. Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, Pac defeated Roderick Strong and the Conglomeration, Orange Cassidy, Tomohiro Ishii by pinfall. Nothing to write home about. Eddie Kingston and Hook defeated the Frat House, Cole Carter and Griff. Nothing to write home about. I'm gonna skip the buy-in matches. Jamie Hayter defeated Thekla by pinfall. That was actually a pretty good match. Jurassic Express, Jack Perry with Luchasaurus defeated the Young Bucks via pinfall, and that was actually a good match. I'm surprised the Young Bucks. It was a match for $500,000. Whoever won it got a bag full of money. And they won it. Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin with MVP defeated the Demand, Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toa Longo by pinfall. Good match, but this could have been on a Dynamite. Kyle Fletcher defended the TBS Championship against Mark Briscoe, a really good match. It could have been 10 minutes shorter, really good match. Chris Statlander defeated Timeless Tony Storm in a good women's match. Mercedes Moné won another belt. She beat Mina Shirakawa for the ROH television title. Best match of the night was Brodito, which is Bandito and Brody King, defeated the Don Callis family, which was Okada and Takeshita, in a really good match that I did not expect them to win. Hangman Adam Page in a good match. Not as good as Samoa Joe has been able to put on, but he's about to retire. He defeated Samoa Joe, and then they turned on him and beat the hell out of him with the Ops. Darby Allin, this is a match I was talking about when I opened the show, defeated John Moxley in an I Quit match. There was just too much craziness going on in this match. There was broken glass. There was people being set on fire, potentially. Thumbtacks, all the stuff. And I just wish that they had put that match somewhere in the card, maybe in the buy-in, I don't know. But, yeah, very solid pay-per-view. But like I said, I usually go deeper into that, but I didn't have Mondo with me tonight to go over this pay-per-view. But I was watching that pay-per-view as I was getting other stuff done, so I wasn't as into it. Not the best that they put out, but solid. It's not like when I'm watching WWE and it's like, this is a high-priced draw. I actually felt that I was watching an actual wrestling pay-per-view. So, all right, it's 11:30, and we have just crossed the 2-hour mark. Almost all of you are watching from the East Coast, so we have done our job and shepherded you to the from Saturday to Sunday. You got anything else, Brad? Anything to add to the cause?
Not a lot. Again, like the big one, mine was, as far as like color commentary, really big one this night, I think, this week was definitely the thoughts on Zach's, Henry Superman picture, which is against like.
I should have budged you. That is, guys, we need to do a symposium how to turn a non-story into a story, and how not to fall into the trap. Maybe that should be like a fucking what is a TED Talk, or what are those infomercials? Don't fall for this trap. Don't do the dance. Don't be the fucking puppet. But that's a different stream. All right, we'll be back on the air tomorrow. No baseball for me tomorrow. Well, I get to watch Seattle probably eliminate Toronto tomorrow, and all of them playing for the right to lose to the Dodgers, who have a mutant in the name of Shohei Ohtani, who last night eliminated the Milwaukee Brewers all by himself. He struck out 10, and he hit 3 home runs. One of them, I'm worried it might hit me here in Las Vegas. So I can sit back and watch the ALCS game 5 tomorrow or game 6 and be completely relaxed. So that's it. And all right, cool. So anything else we didn't cover today, we'll talk about tomorrow. So including the abstract shit that you just brought up at the end of the show, Anthony.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, because he asked that when you stepped away, you're getting some of your posters. So, I mean, it's like those are like some of the best known Punisher runs. So, I mean,
not the biggest fan of Welcome Back, Frank. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't spectacular. War Journal. Where do you want to start? When War Journal first started, when Jim Lee first started the book, or as it kind of got watered down later on in certain issues. War Journal when it started up was better than the actual Punisher main title. It actually went deeper in detail what the Punisher was about, his sister, and everything else. But as the years got on, it just became another superhero adjacent book, and that's when I kind of just gave up on it. So, all right, don't be a Bruce, Karen. No, that woman. Wow. We ain't even gonna go into that. That woman, she ended up losing her job over that. She ended up losing 2 jobs over that. So, bye, Karen. All right, guys, we will see you tomorrow, 10:30 for the standard weekend wrap up. Have a good night. Go eat some good food and do all legal stuff that is legal without hurting yourself. See you later.
see you guys.